Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any heartfelt stories like this. There's something about funerals that weighs on you, a heaviness that makes even the strongest feel small. I pulled into the chapel parking lot, raindrops streaking down my windshield after a 4-hour drive. Outside, the world seemed unnaturally still. Only 3 days had passed since Mom's heart had failed without warning. 3 days and it still didn't feel real. I gripped the steering wheel, forcing myself to inhale and step inside. The chapel was already crowded. Dark coats shifted quietly among the floral displays, hands clutching tissues, fingers trembling. The scent of white lilies hit me immediately, Mom's favorite. At the entrance, Julia, my sister, greeted arriving guests with a practiced, sorrowful smile. But the moment our eyes met, the warmth disappeared, replaced by something sharp and cold. She didn't lower her voice. "Back row for you," she declared loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "Adopted children aren't part of the real family. Front rows are for blood relatives only." Heat flushed my face. I was 30, yet she had the power to make me feel like that small girl Mom rescued from foster care at 7. Heads turned. Some looked pitying, some confused, others pretended not to hear. "I just want the back row," I whispered. "No arguments," she snapped, spinning toward Aunt Carol, shutting me out completely. I walked down the aisle under what felt like 1,000 eyes, whispers trailing behind me. My cousin in the 3rd row avoided my gaze. Marcus, my brother, stayed rigid in the front, refusing even to look my way. I slipped into the last row, pressed against the wall, hands trembling as I held the funeral program. Mom's smiling photograph on the cover stared back, reminding me that, to her, I had always been her daughter. The word adopted belonged to Julia, not Mom. The room quieted as Mr. Patterson, the funeral director, approached the podium. His voice was calm, gentle. "We are gathered today to honor the life of Margaret Ann Sullivan, a beloved mother, sister, aunt and friend." Before he could continue, Julia rose abruptly. "Excuse me," she said, facing the congregation. "I need to clarify something. Mom had 3 children, Marcus, myself, and our brother who passed away young. Anyone else here claiming family ties? Simply former foster children she took in out of charity. Nothing more." The chapel fell into stunned silence. Every breath felt heavy. Mr. Patterson's expression stayed professional, but his jaw tightened. "There's perhaps a way to discuss," he began carefully. "No discussion necessary," Julia interrupted. "I just want the record clear." She sat back down, serene, as if she had done nothing wrong. Marcus stayed frozen, staring at his hands. Aunt Carol dabbed her eyes, shaking her head. The service resumed, but the words faded into background noise. Julia's pointed comments about Mom's devotion to her real children, Marcus' clipped remarks, barely registered. When the time came for the viewing, I waited until every relative had said their farewells. Only then did I rise, but Julia stepped into my path. "Family only," she hissed. I froze. "I just want to say goodbye," I said quietly. "You're not family," she snapped. "Mom took you in out of pity. That doesn't make you one of us." I looked at the woman I had called my sister for over 20 years. "Mom loved me," I murmured. "She felt obligated," Julia countered sharply. "There's a difference." She turned away. I walked back to the last row, sitting silently, eyes blurred with tears, listening to the final prayers. When the service ended, Julia positioned herself near the altar. "The reception will be at my house," she announced loudly. "Family only." I needed to set the record straight. "Mom had 3 children," I began. "Marcus, me, and our brother who died as a child. Anyone else claiming to be family were simply foster children she welcomed out of kindness. Nothing more." A stunned silence swept across the chapel. The air felt thick, almost oppressive. Mr. Patterson maintained his professional composure, but the tightness in his jaw betrayed him. "Maybe we can discuss this," he said cautiously. "No discussion is needed," Julia cut in sharply. "I just want the facts clear." She sat down as though nothing had happened. Marcus stared at his hands, frozen, while Aunt Carol dabbed at her tears, shaking her head. The service went on, but the words around me blurred. Julia spoke of Mom's devotion to her true children. Marcus responded in short, clipped sentences completely ignoring me. When it was time for family to approach the casket, I waited. I stayed seated as everyone else offered their farewells. Only after the room cleared did I stand. Julia stepped in front of me. "Family only," she whispered, her voice icy. "I just want to say goodbye," I said softly. "You're not family," she snapped. "Mom took you in out of pity. That doesn't make you one of us." I stared at the woman I had called my sister for over 20 years. "Mom loved me," I whispered. "She felt obligated," Julia shot back. "There's a difference." She turned away. I walked quietly back to the last row, sat down, and listened to the final prayers with blurred vision. After the service, Julia positioned herself near the altar. "The reception will be at my house," she announced. "Family only. Others may pay respects and leave." She fixed her gaze on me. "Oh, number." I gave my name and slipped out of the chapel, letting silent, shaking sobs overtake me for 20 minutes before I finally drove to my hotel. That evening my phone rang. Unknown caller. "Miss Sullivan? This is Mr. Patterson," a gentle voice said. "I apologize for calling so late. There are documents regarding your mother's estate that require your immediate attention. Could you come to my office tomorrow at 9? Confused, I agreed. Of course, I assumed everything would go to Julia and Marcus. I had always been the outsider, the foster girl, reminded constantly by Julia of the place I once held. The next morning, I arrived at Patterson Funeral Home and Estates, drained and anxious. Mr. Patterson guided me down a hallway to a small conference room. A woman in a navy suit was already seated, calm and professional. "This is Catherine Price," he introduced. "She handled your mother's estate planning." Catherine extended her hand across the table. "I'm very sorry for your loss, Amanda," she said gently. "Your mother spoke of you often." I thanked her, my throat tight. She opened a thick folder. "I asked you here because there are important matters regarding your mother's estate that need immediate attention." Sliding a document toward me, I blinked. "Executive? That must be a mistake. Julia Wood." Catherine shook her head softly. "Your mother appointed you as executor 18 months ago, when she updated her will. This is the notarized, official document." My hand trembled as I picked it up. My full legal name stared back at me. Executive Amanda Claire Sullivan. I hadn't seen it written like that in years. Catherine's expression softened. "Your mother wanted to prevent family disputes while she was alive. She knew this decision would anger your siblings." "They'll be furious," I whispered. "That's not your concern," she said firmly. "Your responsibility is to carry out your mother's wishes exactly as documented." She flipped through more pages. "Let's review the estate. The primary residence at 847 Maple Street is valued at approximately $1,650,000. I swallowed hard. She also had investment accounts totaling just over $900,000, a life insurance policy worth $300,000, and several commercial properties. Commercial properties? I repeated, stunned. "Yes," Catherine confirmed. "Your mother owned the building with her bookstore, plus 2 other commercial buildings downtown. Together, they're worth about $2.3 million. My mind raced. I had no idea Mom had quietly amassed such wealth. She also held rental properties generating steady monthly income, Catherine continued. I stared at the table in disbelief. Mom, gentle and unassuming, had built a fortune quietly and deliberately. "Total estate value is roughly $4.2 million, she said, meeting my eyes. I went numb. Catherine slid another document toward me. "This is the will. Would you like a summary of the main points?" I nodded, too shocked to speak. "Your mother left the family home to you. The investment accounts are divided 60% to you, 20% to Julia, and 20% to Marcus. All commercial buildings go entirely to you." I couldn't breathe. Julia and Marcus would get some financial portion, but the rest. "She was very clear about her reasons," Catherine said. She pulled out a letter marked with a yellow sticky note and read aloud. "Amanda has shown true loyalty and love. Julia and Marcus had shown me where their priorities truly lay, and it wasn't with family. I chose to leave the majority of my estate to the daughter who had become my real family, not to the children born into it." Tears streamed down my face, and Catherine quietly handed me a tissue. There's one more thing, she said softly. Your mother set up a trust for any future children you might have, ensuring her grandchildren will always be taken care of. She placed another document before me. That trust is worth $500,000. Her foresight was remarkable. Only I had fully understood what family meant to her. Catherine gathered the papers. You'll need to formally notify Julia and Marcus about the contents of the will, she reminded me. As the executor, it's your legal duty. I can be present for the meeting if you'd like. Yes, please, I said. The meeting was scheduled for the following day at Catherine's office. I called Julia and Marcus, explaining that the attorney wanted to meet with all of us regarding Mom's estate. Julia's voice was dismissive. Marcus sounded neutral. That night, sleep eluded me. The next morning, Julia arrived in a high-end designer outfit, while Marcus wore a suit. Both looked startled to see me already seated with Catherine and Mr. Patterson. Why is she here? Julia demanded. This concerns the actual family, Catherine responded firmly. Amanda is the executor of your mother's will. Please take a seat, Mrs. Brennan, Mr. Sullivan. Julia scoffed. That's ridiculous. I'm her daughter by birth. Doesn't matter, she appointed Amanda. Catherine held up her folder. I'll go over the key points of the will. As Catherine read, Julia's expression shifted. Arrogance melting into confusion, then turning pale with shock. Marcus frowned. This can't be right, Julia interrupted. The house alone is worth more than $500,000, and she's leaving it to her? Yes, Catherine said. The house, the commercial buildings, and the bulk of the estate go to Amanda. You and Marcus each receive $200,000 from the investment accounts. Julia's voice quivered. This is fraud. Mom would never do this. The will is legally sound, Catherine replied calmly. I witnessed it along with 2 other attorneys. Your mother was of sound mind and made her intentions very clear. You manipulated her, Julia spat. You convinced her to cut us out. I didn't even know about this, I said softly. Lies, Catherine said firmly. Your mother updated this will 18 months ago, including a letter explaining her reasoning. Would you like me to read it? Yes, Marcus said quietly. Catherine produced a handwritten letter in Mom's distinctive script and read aloud. I am leaving the majority of my estate to Amanda, because she has shown what family truly means. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, Amanda took time off work to drive me to treatments, sat through chemotherapy, and called me every day. Julia and Marcus were too busy to provide support. Only Amanda was there. Only Amanda cared more about my life than my money. Julia's face went pale. She never told us, Marcus whispered. Catherine looked at him. She did tell you, but neither of you responded. Only Amanda showed up for her. Catherine continued reading. I am leaving Amanda the house because she treated it as a home, not a commodity. She will inherit my businesses because she understands that work should serve life, not the other way around. Julia and Marcus, I love you, but I no longer trust you with my legacy. Amanda earned this. Julia grabbed her purse. I'm contesting this. No judge will let an adopted child take a family inheritance. Your mother anticipated this, Catherine said calmly. There's a no contest clause. Challenge the will and lose, and your share goes to charity. She documented every call, text, and request for help, showing who truly cared for her and who didn't. Marcus spoke softly. I didn't know she was that sick. She was treatable, but she needed support. Amanda provided it, Catherine confirmed. She closed her folder. The estate is substantial. Amanda will inherit approximately $3.2 million in assets. You will each receive $120,000. Your mother felt that was fair, based on your involvement in her life. Julia's voice trembled. This is because of the funeral, isn't it? Your mother passed before the funeral, Catherine said. She anticipated how you would treat Amanda. In her letter she wrote, Amanda is my family, the truest family of all my children. Julia stormed out without another word. Marcus lingered. I should have visited more, he admitted quietly. Yes, I said. You should have. He left. Catherine turned to me. One last thing. Your mother left you a personal letter to be opened after the will reading. She handed me a sealed envelope. Inside, in Mom's handwriting, My dearest Amanda, if you're reading this, I'm gone. You were my choice every day, not because of birth but because of love. You held my hand when I was scared, made me laugh, and reminded me why life was worth fighting for. Julia and Marcus are children by birth, but you are my daughter by choice. Blood matters less than love. This inheritance is more than money. It's proof that you were always my real family. I love you forever, Mom. I sat in Catherine's office and cried for 20 minutes. Mr. Patterson brought water, and Catherine waited quietly as I absorbed everything. What do I do now? I asked. You sign the executor documents, begin probate, and take possession of your inheritance. Live your life knowing your mother loved you completely, Catherine said gently. 3 months later, probate was complete. I moved into Mom's house, continued running her bookstore, and managed the commercial properties, which provided steady income. Julia never spoke to me again. Marcus sent a brief apology. I didn't respond. I established a foundation in Mom's name to support families dealing with cancer treatment. On the first anniversary of her passing, I sat in her garden. The house was mine. The businesses were mine. But most of all, the love was mine. Julia had been wrong. I was real. Mom had made sure everyone knew.